Guys, it's not the main event we wanted, but it's still a good fight nonetheless. Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny. Nick and I are talking about that exciting fight at 170 right now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, everybody was a little disappointed. The Khamzat Chimaev Fight Island showdown did not happen.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, the UFC kind of put Magny versus Chiesa. They moved them up the card and made them the main event. Still a big fight at 170. Two top 10 guys. You have Chiesa at number 8 and Magny at number 9. Both of them on 3-fight win streaks. This is going to be a good fight nonetheless.
Oh, it's going to be a great fight. And, you know, it makes you wonder with Khamzat Chimaev and Leon getting bumped and moved entirely. You know, they're not trying to salvage one of the fighters or 50% of the fight and replace a Khamzat Chimaev with a Neil Magny or a Michael Chiesa. It shows you how important that Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev has become for the UFC.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are two of the only 170ers that said they're down to fight either of those two guys. So
right.
I think it's interesting. I do think that these are main event caliber fighters. I do like this fight being a 5-round fight for both fighters. I think it actually works out in both of their favors for, you know, stylistic purposes. Yeah, I'm excited to see these guys throw down.
Yeah, I think and I do think it might go all 5 rounds. I mean, if you look, Neil Magny had that he lost by knockout in the end of 2018 to Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Yeah,
we saw him take some pretty substantial time off after that. He did not fight at all in 2019 and didn't come back until 2020. However, he has fought 3 times this year.
Yeah.
In 2020 has fought 3 times and is starting 2021 off with a bang. And has won all 3 of those fights, including defeating Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
So Neil Magny's looking to reinvent himself a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, he's broken some records. He's won more UFC fights than almost anybody on this planet can say that they've won or even been in. And it seems like he's really found his footing lately. And, you know, it's kind of similar to the Jorge Masvidal thing where 2019 he won 3 fights and everybody he blew up in everybody's faces and people finally realized who Gamebred was, but he's been around the game forever.
Sure.
Neil Magny's been around the game forever, but now he's starting to string these wins together and it seems as though he's finally starting to get some recognition amongst the fans. And the boys in the locker room, they always knew he was a top level athlete and fighter and martial artist. And now they're starting to realize that he could be making another push towards the top of the division. I personally think that he matches up really well with some of the top 5.
Yeah, he's very long. He's got a great jab. He's not known for his knockout finishes. He's got an incredible gas tank, and he knows how to win rounds in a fight.
Right.
Speaking of, you know, finding your footing, Michael Chiesa has certainly found his footing at 170. I mean, the funny thing about Chiesa is he's got 17 wins, 11 of them by submission. So he's known as the submission artist. However, his last 2 fights at 55, he got submitted by Anthony Pettis and Kevin Lee, which you would never expect that to be the case. Yeah. But when you look at Michael Chiesa and you look at his frame at 170 and how he filled out, it makes it hard to even imagine how he ever fought at 155. It's really, truly crazy.
Yeah, when I think about Michael Chiesa, I think of the body type of a Kamaru Usman or a Colby Covington, a long, rangy guy that fills out that 170 frame. I can't imagine him. He must have looked like a stick figure, and I'd have to go back and watch the fight to him at 155. But
yeah, the weigh-ins were even more disturbing. Some of the weigh-ins,
right? He probably looked like Conor when Conor was going down to 45. I think 170 is a perfect home for him, and it's kind of crazy that 55ers were able to submit him, and now he's submitting the best of the best grapplers at 170, and kind of making it look easy. When he was rolling on the ground in some of those exchanges with RDA,
yeah,
I was blown away. I was like, this guy is a high-level competitor. I'd love to see him in some grappling tournaments. I'm sure he's doing submission undergrounds and stuff like that. But I'm going to have to tune in next time he does that because he's high level.
Yeah, he's very high level, but he's not one of these guys that came in when you think of like a Jacare Souza.
Yeah.
This guy, he's been to ADCC or he's won the Pan Ams or he's done this in gi and this in the no gi, and you just have an accolade sheet a mile long. Right. This guy is known as the alligator. He's a true Brazilian jiu-jitsu master with a bunch of medals to his name. Michael Chiesa is not really that guy. However, Michael Chiesa has found extreme grappling success and extreme submission success within the UFC and MMA's framework and rule set. So it's very interesting. And watching him in there with RDA, who does have a lot of those jiu-jitsu accolades. I mean, he's a high-level black belt. Everybody knows RDA is a monster on the ground. A lot of fighters avoided trying to be, everything at all costs get up off the ground if RDA takes you down. Not Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa was really winning most of those grappling exchanges and making RDA look like the inferior grappler, which is a very, very tough task. I won't go as far to say as he was flow rolling on RDA like he was on Diego Sanchez, but the fight before when he fought Diego, that literally looked like a black belt brings a new white belt into class and literally just works whatever technique at 20% pace that they want to work. And, every move the new white belt makes, the black belt's got the answer for it without even thinking about it. And they're talking to somebody's mom who wants to sign their kid up for class while they're just destroying. That was how bad it looked. I mean, he demolished Diego on the ground. Even though he didn't get the finish in that fight, which, I mean, who the hell finishes Diego Sanchez? Right. But, even though he didn't get the finish, it was almost more impressive that he did that for 3 rounds against Diego. Yeah,
his jiu-jitsu skills, they seem like second nature to him. And flow rolling is a good way to put it, but I'll go one more step further, and I'll say he moves like water, like a lot of people say, to move like water, and don't be rigid. Don't be stubborn about things. Flow, let things happen, and kind of similar to how Luke Rockhold looked in his best days at 185, whenever he, when you think about Luke Rockhold's grappling and top pressure and stuff, when you think of pressure, you think of somebody that holds you, that pins you down. But it's more
like a Khabib,
right? But it's more so somebody who every turn you make, they're repositioning themselves to an equally heavy position. And Michael Chiesa does that just as well, in my opinion, as Luke Rockhold. And when when you talk about mixed martial arts, we're not just talking about jiu-jitsu. We're not talking about wrestling. We're talking about mixing up the martial arts. Yeah. And Michael Chiesa has shown that he's not only good at doing that with the grappling, but he can throw the hands and change levels really well. Neil Magny, though, is very good at that portion on the feet and staying up on his feet, defending takedowns, defending things to keep the fight where he wants it at his long range. I think this fight has a MMA clinic written all over it. It's going to be a clinic of high-level MMA fighting, and I think this is a hard one to predict.
Very hard to predict, and Magny's no slouch on the ground either. No. It's not going to be Chiesa is going to be attempting to submit Magny. Right. We know that. Magny's going to be looking to wear Chiesa out on the feet. Magny doesn't even necessarily. Obviously, if the finish is there, any fighter in any organization is going to go for it. But Magny's game plan is not to just get in your face and take your head off. Magny's going to be looking to wear Chiesa out, to take him, kind of discombobulate him with strikes so that if it does go to the ground, Chiesa can't be as effective as he'd like to be. I do see this fight going all 5 rounds. Yeah, I see some great hand exchanges, and I think Magny probably gets the better of those. And I see some great grappling exchanges, and I think Chiesa probably gets the better of those. And I think it's going to come down to, the decision is going to come down to who was able to bring the opponent to their game and stay there for the longest amount of time so that they could shine and show their skill set. And I think that's going to really determine the outcome of this fight. This is a very, very tough fight to call. And as we're cutting this video, I really don't know who's going to win this.
And if you have to ask me who I think at 170 could make a run for the top 5, I would say the winner of this fight. Yeah. The winner of this fight could very well find themselves in there with a Kamaru Usman, a Colby Covington, a game-bred Masvidal, Leon Edwards. Even the Khamzat Chimaev, if he's able to get past Leon Edwards, I could see them pairing these guys up. Yeah. And it just seems to me that if it goes to the ground and Michael Chiesa is able to submit in the first round or two, then we have a real force at 170, Michael Chiesa. And if it stays on the feet and Neil Magny's able to defend off the takedown and carry it into the later rounds, I do think that he'll walk to a victory, unanimous decision after 5 rounds. But I'm not going to count out Michael Chiesa going in there and strangling him right after his song Stranglehold plays on the loudspeakers from Ted Nugent. By
the way, we always talk about good walkout songs. Like, as you always say, fighting is entertainment, and part of being an entertainer is, invoking an emotion or a response out of people, and the walkout song that you choose does matter.
Yeah.
And I think that Stranglehold by Ted Nugent that Michael Chiesa walks out to and then proceeds to strangle people is very cool.
Right.
That's worth noting.
Oh, yeah. Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, killer walkout song, especially when you see him like cinch up a rear naked choke. It's really a cool thing.
It's
sick.
It starts to go in your head. Like, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is I lost my train of thought there for a second. But Michael Chiesa, when it comes to casual fans, they get to see three sides of you, and this comes to the entertainment part: the walkout, the fight, and the post-fight.
Right.
The post-fight speech. So you have to nail all of those. Us, we're diehards. We see every bit of content that comes out from the UFC and even from the fighters personally on their YouTube pages or whatever, social media. So they're able to entertain us in those sorts of formats. But Michael Chiesa has a great fighting style that really attracts fans.
Right.
I think that his walkout is really cool. He looks like a stereotypical bad dude in an MMA fight.
Yeah.
And then he's also good on the microphone. And I mean, the UFC thinks that he's good enough to be on the analyst panel.
Yeah.
So I think you have a guy who has a lot of star potential in Michael Chiesa. And if he's able to beat Neil Magny in a very impressive fashion, which I'm not putting past him, I think we could have a star on our hands. And this could be a breakout year for him.
Yeah, I think it could. And if I'm just going to make an early prediction on this, I do think Michael Chiesa is probably going to edge one out.
Okay.
This is going to be very, very close. And then you talk about, who's there for Khamzat Chimaev, and as styles make matchups, it's really so true. When you think about Conor and Dustin, how we say that's such a favorable, as good as Dustin is, that's such a favorable matchup for Conor. When you think about how Dan Hooker knocked out Gilbert Burns, but lost to Jason Knight, who's now fighting in bare knuckle boxing.
Insane.
You just can't do MMA math. The styles make the matchups.
Right.
I think Michael Chiesa presents something that at least I would be interested in seeing if Khamzat could solve.
Yeah.
Because Michael Chiesa Khamzat, there's no secret, he's going to try to take you to the ground. Michael Chiesa loves being on the ground. And the name of the game in MMA is don't be on the ground on your back. If you're in the guard, it's like Coach Bob Perez tells us all the time. If you're in the guard or on your back, you're either sweeping, submitting, or getting up.
Yeah.
With very few exceptions. Michael Chiesa is one of those exceptions. He's one of the people who actually is extraordinarily effective from his back, throwing up triangles, getting arm bars, creating scrambles.
Right.
So, I would presume that against Khamzat, he would be on his back. And I'm not offering to you that I think Michael Chiesa would beat Khamzat Chimaev, but I would be interested to see that matchup, that stylistic matchup play out.
Yeah, I do. I would love to see that. I agree with what you're saying there. I do think that Neil Magny's style lends to a tough night out against Khamzat, especially if it's a main event. Mm-hmm. If it's 5 rounds, he's going to keep shooting. His hands are good. I know he's a dominant Khabib 2.0 wrestling kind of guy, Sambo monster, but he is really good with his hands, and he's not afraid to throw them.
Right.
And it's one of those things where a Neil Magny, a Wonderboy Thompson, those types have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And they're some of the only fighters in the sport that can be perfect for 25 minutes, but they have to be perfect. They can't get caught, and then they can't get to the ground with somebody like a Chimaev. And that's kind of how I see Chiesa. If Chiesa gets Neil Magny to the ground, I think we're going to see some super high level grappling exchanges, and he's going to win in an early grappling situation. If in the first round or second round we see Neil Magny stuff a couple takedowns and it tires Chiesa out to go for him, then I think we see him walk into a unanimous decision victory by the judges, giving him 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah,
maybe 4 rounds to 1.
Yeah, very possible. I think all of those scenarios could be.
Yeah, they're the likely scenarios, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I know, guys, that we're not excited. Let me rephrase that. We're not as excited for this fight as we were for Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. But this is still a fight that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think the winner of this fight, as you said, could have a breakout year. They're both on 3-fight win streaks. You got to give the edge to Magny on just not having the ring rust, because Chiesa, his last fight against RDA was a year ago.
True.
Magny fought 3 times in 2020. So you got to give him the edge there. But whoever wins this fight is probably going to get a top 5 next at 170. And the top 5 at 170 has a lot of fun, interesting names up there.
Yeah, and I think they add whoever wins joins the logjam at the top of 170. I will say with the ring rust, that's going to hurt Chiesa a little bit. I also think that Neil Magny being the only guy that was calling out Khamzat Chimaev before he had a fight and didn't get it is making him a little bit angry. It seems as though they're just not trying to give him that matchup. Maybe they don't like it, maybe whatever. But I think there's a little bit of a chip on Neil Magny's shoulder that he's getting slighted, and he's on a 3-fight win streak. I think we're going to differ here. I think you've got Chiesa winning by submission. I'm going to go unanimous decision, Neil Magny.
Yeah, and I think Chiesa might even win by decision as well.
Okay.
But if it is a submission, I'm going to say it's like a 4th-round submission.
Okay.
He's going to have to wear Magny out. It's not going to be easy to submit Magny. He's going to have to wear him out.
Could be fight of the night.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible. And I usually don't say that about the main event.
Yeah, well, this one's got it written all over it.
Yeah. Guys, let us know in the comments. Do you agree with the assessment? Are you excited for this fight? Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the show, please like, comment, subscribe, and check us out on audio where you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, guys.
Peace.